Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of a moon with strange energies. We're not even at the crossover yet, and we're already making lower decks jokes, guys. It's happening.
Sci-fi shit.
Let's go do sci-fi shit. That's right. Vice Admiral Eric is here. He's back. He's back from the camping thing. Camping was fun, yes? It looks like you had fun. You look warm in a good way, svelte and warm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you look relaxed and vacationed, which is good.
Maybe not. Warm,
maybe not.
Yes.
Yes. It was 97 degrees here today, by the way. But yeah, just don't make sure you don't leave any ice cream crumbs on your ready room table, man.
Didn't have ice cream today. I have cake.
That's even more crummy.
Because my daughter had her birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday!
My youngest. She's 2 now. So
I
can't believe
insane.
I've known that human since
birth.
He exists.
Yes. Yep. That's a
Incredible.
thing. It's
messed up.
Yep.
That's messed up.
Kids. Commander Hawk is here and wants to speak to the manager about the lack of an umbrella in his cocktail. And finally, Captain Giraffe is here and is just happy Captain Kirk wasn't there for that dinner serving his toilet bowl plomeek soup. Welcome back. Welcome aboard. How we do it, everybody?
Doing all right now.
We're doing fine. I have to say that for the intros, I don't think you can top the one about all the Vulcan coming to my learning pod.
Have I peaked?
You peaked. I'm like, every year I'm waiting. Week I'm waiting. I'm like, is he gonna... I think that was the top, but please prove me wrong.
Damn, guys. All right.
Challenge accepted.
Giraffe or Eric. I mean, any of you can fight for who's host. I'm done. I retire. I've peaked. Lieutenant Commander MC. She's currently in the room where it happened. The room where it happened. The room where it happened. That's right. I had to. She's seeing Hamilton right now. I'm ridiculously jealous.
And she's not giving away her shot.
Nah.
See, I put it.
But MC has a really cool blog post coming up about things that happened in this episode with T'Pring and stuff. So keep a lookout for that. It's going to be really good. I also am going to be writing a blog post about things that happened in this episode. So stay tuned for that. There's going to be a lot of blog posts, I think, because of events of this episode. Speaking of this episode, this week, guess who's coming to dinner? What happens when a shuttle accidentally leaves Spock without his Vulcan DNA? How does he cope on board the Enterprise dealing with feeling the full brunt of human emotions for the first time? And why is Sam Kirk such a messy eater? That's what I want to know. And with the help of his mother, Amanda, how does Spock and T'Pring's Vishal dinner go under the resentful eye of T'Pring's mother, T'Prill? We're going to break it all down, but first, Eric, we need to thank our amazing Patron Collective members at the Ready Room level and above.
Indeed. Thank you to Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito. I don't even have to look at the first 3 lines because it's the same.
Yeah,
we've had them for such a long time. Noe Santo, Kung Hui, Takako Nagumo, Kara Kennedy, Fernanda Nogales, SMK, Laura Linderman, Colin Davidson, Alan Davis, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, The Homework Stealing Vulcan, Maggie Light, Spapple, Wayne Ritz, Scone of Arc, Sean, Jay Howard, Melahani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Joshua Lewis, Dave Willett, Tara Paulin, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Joshua Miller, Adam Sanders, Eris Spengian, Lanky Guy, Cynthia Markey, Aaron Watkey, Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, TJ, Mayor, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, that sounds so familiar. The Chief, Ernesto Castagna, Castagna.
Castagna.
Sedano 317, and our newest collective member, Deborah Husey.
Let us know if you're in the chat, Deborah. We want to know how it's pronounced. We could always use the help. Speaking of, it was late and I didn't get to put in the outline, but a former patron has returned, and we always love seeing former patrons return. We understand sometimes your financial situation changes and you can't help out at the moment, but it's always awesome to see you come back. So welcome back, Anna Yerdadon. It is great to have you back
Yeah,
it is great to have you back as a patron. Did you do the executive producers, Eric? I'll do them. You have cake mouth. And a big thanks to our executive producers, Commander Chris, Simon Stager, and the Chief Ernesto Castagna. Thank you guys so much. You freaking rock. News. Draft. The first bit of news is all you.
Okay, I'm going to start with San Diego Comic-Con because it's in 1 week. We're going to be here in San Diego. I mean, I'm always here in San Diego, but MC also is going to be here in San Diego. Please come say hi. I'll be on 2 panels. You know all that. Find me around. Try to find me around. It's going to be a lot of people. But now that there are no more actors in San Diego, you'll have more time. So please come hang. We'll have fun.
The best actor at Comic-Con is right here on this pod. So, right there.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And give your time to the cosplayers and the comic book artists that are there and all the people working at Comic-Con. It's going to be fun. I promise it's going to be fun. Should I do the second bit of news?
Yeah, just why don't you take it? So since you're on the mic right now, hit it. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I'm not looking at the outline. So we're going to have a... Sorry.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Are you f***ing kidding me?
Wait. I'm improvising. I know what I'm doing.
You're doing great. No, hit it. Yeah, the companion.
It's the companion. Yeah, okay, I was right. Okay, so I don't know if you remember, but was it last year? It was last year.
I think it was last year already.
Yeah.
Last year, I did a roundtable for the companion, which is an app and a website. It's everything nerdy, and they have a show. It's not a show. It's called the Green Room, where they have this moment to talk with actors that made our fandom incredible. For example, they did one with Amanda Tapping from Stargate. That was incredible. If you were there, she talked about mental health. And they're going to do one with the best EXO in Star Trek, Jonathan Frakes. Yes. Lila Riker is over there. We worked with them, and there's going to be an opportunity for one of our patrons to actually meet Jonathan Frakes. So, yeah, that's super exciting. That opportunity will be put into auction for charity. So, just a small announcement. Know that you can become a patron of Strange New Pod for $1. $1 whole dollar. And the opportunity will be open to all of our patrons that want to bet on the seat that S&P got for this event. There will be more information. It's really a soft
launch
teaser.
Soft teaser, yeah.
It will be announced on the Patreon tomorrow, but we're live today, so that's why we get a little bit of sneak peek.
Love it. And again, I think it's really important to note, this is going to be available to all our patrons. We're not locking it at a certain level, right? This is so if you want to join our Patreon, you haven't, this is a perfect time. We don't plug it often, but this is a great time to patreon.com/strangenewpod. Just for $1, you get put into this lottery to possibly get to.
It's not a lottery. It's going to be an auction.
Sorry. An auction. Sorry. Auction.
Yeah. So that's if you want to.
Yes.
You will be able. And all the money goes to charity. It is not in our pocket. Yep. It all goes for a good cause.
Are we allowed to announce the charity?
I don't know.
Okay, we're going to hold off on announcing the charity. That's fair. Yep.
If you know Jonathan Frakes, you'll guess the charity very, very fast.
There it is. Yep. Cool. That's super exciting news. I'm super stoked for that. I do want to leapfrog back to Comic-Con real quick. Because Giraffe and MC are not, they're going to be away. They're going to both be at Comic-Con and super busy. We are not going to be live next week, okay? We are going to pre-record our review of episode 206. It'll premiere at our normal pod time next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And just as a bonus, because part of doing this show is you guys. We love you guys. For the audio version of the pod, I'm going to go back and record your mailbag. So you could still do the subspace to poll. You could still do the mailbag. We're going to still give you that experience as much as possible because our show is nothing without you guys, and we want to try and keep that live aspect of it as much as possible. I'll try and be there in the chat next Thursday. So you can still talk to us because without any spoilers, I'm 99% sure we all adored next week's episode. So yeah,
that's my whole review of episode 6, season 2 of Strange New Worlds.
So yeah, I'll go back. So make sure you get your mailbags in for that still. And then Fan Expo. I know that you guys have been waiting ridiculously patiently. That was not a great way to put it, but we did get accredited for Fan Expo. We are going to get press passes, which means we are going to go full steam and trying to plan something for you guys. I know it's a little bit late in the month to get something started for that, but if you're in Canada, get your tickets to Fan Expo because we're going to be there. We're going to be doing a podcast and we'll be there all weekend. So get ready for Fan Expo Toronto.
If you order, this is Fan Expo Canada, not Fan Expo Toronto. Toronto's a March event. So if you order before August, you get the early bird ticket price, which is quite a bit cheaper.
It's a good amount. Yeah, it's a really good amount.
August 24 to 27.
Yeah, make sure to get your tickets. If you're coming, we'll have more details as soon as we can about some kind of event that we're going to put on for everybody. Stay tuned. Giraffe, you announced the companion. This comes to something that we've been teasing for a few weeks, and we are ridiculously excited to announce that. As you could see, I am wearing the Heroes and Villains shirt I wore for episode 202 earlier this week. We are very excited to announce that Strange New Pod has partnered with Heroes and Villains. It's super exciting. What does that mean for you guys? Well, it means that you get some discounts, which is really cool. 20% off your first order. We have a special code you can go use, which is all capitals Strange. This is US only, so just be aware of that. But 20% off your first order, and it's awesome. They make really cool shirts. They've been releasing weekly Strange New World shirts. They're really cool. We're going to be getting some stuff to model and show you over the next few weeks, so be on the lookout for that. But it's awesome. Again, 20% off your first order at heroesandvillains.com, and that code is Strange, okay? US only. So, I love it. I know Giraffe's excited to get some shirts.
All the shirts. Oh my God, they have these, sorry, parenthesis, but they have like these makeup bags and they're nerdy and I want one because I can't get my warm makeup like luggage when I go to con using the plane. So I want 2 of those at least. And they have these like bags and they have this like little like satchel to put your pass for convention. I know it's not made for that, but for me it was something to put my badge during convention. It was so cute and it's so nerdy. And yeah, I have a cart that I'm not kidding, 15 items. And
I have like 3 items in my cart right now because
it's ridiculous.
Listen, not just their, and listen, we're not getting paid to say, like, they have other cool shit besides Star Trek. Like, all their Star Wars shit is really cool. Like, they have an awesome Ahsoka Tano shirt that I'm buying. It's awesome. So we don't just partner with anybody. It's taken us 3 years to get another sponsor since we've had one back when we first started.
Coffee, no?
Coffee. I
remember.
Yeah,
I was
the coffee. Yeah,
and I tried to order it, and it didn't exist anymore.
I know, it sucked. They were great. I love that. But yeah, so heroesandvillains.com. We're super excited to be partnered with them. More details in a bit. We'll have some stuff on social media as well. I didn't do a Stranger Loop this week because we just have a lot to talk about with this one. Let's get into it. It's a review of episode 205 of Strange New Worlds, Charades. Our order tonight will be Eric, Hawk, Giraffe, followed by myself.
Put in the end. You know what you're doing.
Well, no, because I have you first for the first part specifically. I thought of you. Don't you worry. So, a day in the life. The episode starts with a personal log from Chapel, which I think is a first for her for the series, which is
a cool
way to start. Which tells us she's applying for a 2-month fellowship studying archaeological medicine, right? Sponsored by the Vulcan Science Academy. We get another Roger Corby name drop, and I'm still wondering if we're actually going to see him this season. I kind of think we will. And then we get a log from Spock, which is also nice, who's taking therapies to better control his emotions after his incident with the Gorn. He's also taken up cooking with Pike, giving side-eye to Sam Kirk about his messiness, and is then given the news by T'Pring that since they are in the Vulcan system, she's moved up their engagement dinner, with Spock mentioning he's still not talking with his father, which is a nice way to bring this into canon, by the way. We know that there's a long period of time that they don't speak to each other. How do we feel about the episode starting with a day in the life of these? So actually, I didn't have you first for that part, Jeff. It's the next paragraph I have you in.
Come on, I'm good going last for all the parts because...
Okay, all right. So Eric, hit it. What did you think about this with these two logs opening the episode?
I like seeing more of Christine Chapel, Nurse Chapel, because we don't get much of her. So hearing her, do a log is really nice. Seeing the day-to-day and seeing a downtime of a starship is always interesting because it always seems to be high alert whenever we get an episode. That being said, I don't like the Spock and Chapel relationship, so the awkwardness between them was just like, cool. Let's see. I love T'Pring, though. So every time she goes on screen and she just steals it for me. I love that relationship, and I love that we know where it's going. So I don't know. I think it's nice seeing Nurse Chapel doing just regular stuff. Like she's applying for things that she wants, and it's nice to know more about her because we don't know anything about her. Like we haven't had the chance.
We actually get to see her practicing medicine a little bit in this episode, even though it does have to do with Spock, right? Like it's still, you get to see her doing her craft.
Even her hanging out with people was nice to see. Like just seeing people like hang out together was nice.
Yeah. Hawk.
I did like the intro in that, especially like, they had an amazing like galactic shot, and it kind of sweeps in over the planets and that.
Just beautiful.
Focused on Chapel and that. And I thought, okay, we're getting a Chapel episode. This is good. And she's doing the routine and that. I love the montage and that, where she's basically repeating the fundamentals of archaeological medicine and that in preparation for the interview process and that. But it montages from her, in sick bay to the boxing ring, and finally drinks with the gals at the end of the day. But you could see it was leading into another, Spock and Chapel episode. And that, I've not been enthused about the relationship either. Just because it's been so they take a lot of time in.
It also feels like they're throwing it in our face. It's so much. It's a lot.
Yeah, and
I like the Spock Chapel relationship. I'm a hopeless romantic.
Fun.
No.
Oh
no.
But I posted picture and Jack Cox sent me a message saying that I look fabulous.
We're back. I think that was okay to say, right?
Oh yeah, that is okay to say.
Yeah.
Jackie Cox speaks.
Jackie Cox likes you. She's amazing.
She's absolutely incredible.
Amazing.
I'm just asking the chat to see if they can see us.
We're not back, I can tell you. You're back, but I'm not back.
What the?
Oh, no.
Facial anomaly.
Did it all die? I don't understand why this happens sometimes. 1 second.
Oh, now it's just you and everybody left. Like literally empty boxes.
We will be right back, people.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, they can see us.
Yeah, but we're not moving.
Yeah, I think I'm
No.
I think there's a frozen stream for you guys. Hold on. Now check it.
We're good.
We are?
We good?
Yep.
Nice.
Back?
Back.
Nothing happened.
Hello?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, we're back.
I don't know.
We're totally back.
I meant
okay.
we didn't go away. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, we never left. You guys are crazy. No, we're kidding. Giraffe, keep going. What were you saying? You were being nice for maybe the only time this episode.
I was being nice for a minute. I don't remember what the fuck I was saying. No, I was saying that I was very excited to see Triple like having a log. The thing, like when you see the everyday life, I'm just like, Listen, there are so many people on that ship that I never fucking see. Can we not put me in the worst situation possible? Is that an awkward elevator? Like, I want to be here. I want to be here. I want to be here. They don't even talk. They just look at each other. I'm like, you have 10 episodes. You have like 10, a little bit less than 10 hours. Like, dude, do something else. Do something else.
Yeah.
Do something else. Like, I love the scenes at the bar better because, first of all, you see the set also.
Is that the first time we've seen the brand new set? It's so good. I think it is. Yeah.
So, yeah. I want to see the set. I want to look at all like the lamps and stuff. I want to see them having fun. I don't know. I want to see quarters. We've seen literally only Spock's quarters and Pike's quarters until now. Like we've glanced at Uhura quarters, but that's all. Like I want to see. So it was kind of like the other thing is that I watched this episode when literally I had 100 people telling me you're gonna fucking hate it, and I didn't know why. So I went in like bracing, like you can't imagine, with a knot in my throat. So yeah, that's it. After like until when do we go? Yeah, that and Spock. I was
Spock
like,
and
I like the fact that it was linking to like previous episodes. We see him like working with Mbenga on like getting therapy and being able like to have a better control of how he feels. And I mean, we've all been here. Go to therapy. Therapy is very good. Have your own little moment to know how you're gonna be able like to take care of things. And I like to see that he's growing, and that was something good. That's something we didn't know about Spock, that he had also these little techniques that he would do every day to just make sure that he was not gonna lose his shit. Too bad the episode after that just tell us the opposite, but I thought that was a great like reference because we see him play music so much in TOS. It's like, oh, now I want to rewatch this episode, which is exactly what I was expecting from Strange New World, to have this little moment. I was like, I want to rewatch Charlie X now to see him sing, like play music, and see, if it became something else, if it's still that, stuff like this. So yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, it was not bad. Right.
Yeah. I love seeing Chapel's log. I like to see her work. I love seeing her interact with Mbenga because this is now the second time that we've got some interaction with them, and it was so good. Like that was one of like the very good things about the premiere. And even if it was a little bit in this, like I liked seeing their working relationship, and there's more of that later. I actually don't know if we'll end up talking about it. I'll put it in my final thoughts if we do. Listen, like I sometimes can definitely be a canon stickler, right? There's some things that I absolutely care about, and there's some things that I don't care about, but like Spock not speaking to Sarek is a big deal. So like when he specifically says that to Pring, I'm like, okay, good. Like they're getting that out of the way. It's a throwaway line. It works. It lets us know they're on bad terms still. And I appreciate it. So that is good. Let's keep talking about this before the credits roll. Spock pilots a shuttle for Chapel, right? Who's studying one of the moons in the Vulcan system that used to be home to an ancient civilization called the Kirkovians, which I thought for a while was spelled like Kirk, which it's not, but that's who they are. But the strange anomaly that is on the moon leads to a shuttle incident, and Spock wakes up in sickbay without his Vulcan DNA. I did have Draft going first, but she walked away for a minute. So, Eric, what did you think about this?
I mean, so I watched this with my kids, and they thought it was hilarious. This is a trope that happens so often in sci-fi and comedies and so many things where they're just like, oh, I've forgotten one part of me or something like that, and it leads to their self-discovery of what it means to be, that part of them, or both parts. And it was fine. It's a trope that happens a lot, but I thought Ethan Peck discovering it was fucking hilarious. Like the comedy chops of this cast in this episode, like they knocked it out of the park. I did not expect
through
it.
the roof.
But I know there are issues with this trope. There always has been. And honestly, I'm not one to speak of it because it doesn't affect me. So I can't, I wouldn't be the person that would understand it. Like I try and I see the point of view, but I can't speak to it. That's why I'm going to leave it to our later hosts.
Yes. Fair. Hawk.
Same. It's like I kind of felt the same. Like it's that initial discovery of his, and that, you know, and
Sorry.
later on Ethan Peck nails the comedy element of it, but again, they're kind of dipping into this well that's always been kind of problematic. It goes back to like Faces in Voyager, maybe a little Tuvix, I don't know, but yeah, I'm not really the person to speak on this, you know. Because like
don't speak about Tuvik in this house.
I will always speak about Tuvix.
People were talking about Tuvix in the chat later. I'm like, you're just trying to get me going.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They will always egg us on with Tuvix. I think we really just need to open the floor to Giraffe on this one.
Yeah. Go ahead. So actually, let me put what I put. Well, yeah, because you were gone. So we're talking about the shuttle accident and Spock waking up with no issue, right? Without his Vulcan DNA. I thought originally that you posted this. You didn't. I think you may have only sent it to me and a handful of people, but you sent a really good video privately to us about why this is an issue. Because listen, like I'll be the first to admit, like I didn't see it the first time I watched it. I see it now, and I think you explain it beautifully, and it makes a lot of sense. But about why this is an issue, I want to give you kind of the room to talk about this more in depth, because I think it is really important.
Yeah, so first of all, it's an issue because Star Trek did that like 25 years ago. Like, can we move on? Please. I think everybody has seen Faces in Voyager, which is such a bad episode. It's such a bad take. But I'm going to say that at least Faces takes it seriously. You know, it's an episode that wants to have a task, that wants to show that it's a struggle for the character, that there's a deep reflection, that it's not easy and it's not funny. The problem with Charade is that on top of this, they make it funny. And I was like, oh boy. So, okay, I'm going to address like comments because like everybody's been blowing up my DM. So, I know it's Star Trek. I know Vulcans don't exist. I know that most probably Vulcan DNA has different proteins or whatever, like building blocks. So we have ACTG, right? Maybe the Vulcan are BXFY, you know? And so they're totally different building blocks. So that the aliens were like, we're going to take care of getting out these weird building blocks that the other one doesn't have. Okay, sure, let's say that. But Vulcans don't exist. Unfortunately. I'm ready for first contact because we need to stop with all this bullshit. So Vulcans don't exist, and Star Trek is not a criticism, but it's a mirror to our society, and it speaks about our struggle and our problems and our vision of the world and how people walk through the world right now. And you can't really keep talking about Spock being of two races or two species, if you want, and then totally say, oh, we never thought it was biracial. Like, dude, what? No. Yes, like, sure, biracial audience will identify with Spock because he goes through a lot of struggle that biracial people go through, and he is technically of two cultures and of two races. I know he's also coded, like, I know a lot of people recognize themselves in, for example, the idea that he's on the autism spectrum or that he's transgender. Like, I know a lot of different fans identifying themselves to Spock, and that's great. I'm not saying that he's only one thing, but is that also, like, two things can be true, three things can be true also. And the big problem for me in that episode is that it's perpetrating a trope that associates culture and DNA. And that is a dangerous trope nowadays. It's a very, very dangerous idea. The fact that a lot of people are just totally oblivious to that shows you how ingrained and internalized that ID is for so many people, that the way you act comes from your DNA, which is not true. Like, I actually did a DNA test. I don't know if you guys did a DNA test. But,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you know how much is my French percentage?
28.
10.
I am 4% French. Okay? Because my DNA is mostly Italian because my mother is from Corsica. And then I'm like a bunch of I'm like 37% Italian. Do I strike you as an Italian? No, because my DNA.
Sometimes the way you talk is very Italian.
That's the Corsican thing. But I'm totally French. Like, you can say that much.
No, you are very French.
And I relate to Spock also because I grew up in France and I grew up with a French mother and I grew up in a French culture looking the way I look. And the way I look comes from my DNA. I mean, except that I'm missing like hair and I'm missing makeup and these like fashion choices. But, that's things I've learned. And the thing is that Napoleon is Corsican. We call it the cousin. We call him the cousin in my home. My grandmother had a bust of Napoleon in her kitchen. I'm not kidding.
I just want to bounce off what you're saying real quick, because do you look Italian? No, and you're more Italian than French, right? I am 44.8% Greek, and I don't look Greek at all. Unless I do, and tell me I'm wrong. I don't know.
You look Greek. I was going to say you do.
I'm also 38.8 British and Irish, and I feel like that's what I look like more. But I've never been like
who you are. You know.
Yeah.
No. Well, exactly.
And that's the thing. And that's my big problem. Like, for example, let's take Prodigy. We also like Prodigy. What's the name of the episode
Masquerade.
where Dal is having like what? Sorry.
Masquerade.
Yeah, I was gonna say Charade. Masquerade. See, incredible. Where he has like this experiment on his DNA, and he exploits traits, like physical traits. You see him physically changing, and then having these new abilities like Klingon strength and like Vulcan telepathy and so on. Here, the thing is that they erased the DNA, the Vulcan DNA of Spock, and he's just human. I don't understand what is the other half of his DNA. Like, did they take Chapel's DNA? So now they're brothers and sisters? Like, what? But like, let's forget this. Let's say it's technobabble DNA thing that don't exist. And Star Trek should do better on science because this is, important. They could do better on science. They should. But let's say that, okay, they duplicate DNA, they make up stuff, and he just looks like himself without the ears and the eyebrows. Okay. He's still himself. He didn't lose his memory. That was previous episodes, right? He still remembers who he is. He still remembers his freaking education. Like, you don't forget everything you've learned because none of it is in your DNA. Maybe now he can eat cilantro. I mean, apparently he can eat bacon also, whatever. But
actually,
don't forget who you are. What?
Tara, I need to know if you eat bacon too. Put that in the chat, please. About what you asked me earlier. I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. So my big problem is that in that episode, they're saying that Spock being able to control himself, even though he says at the beginning of the episode that he's controlling himself because he's using the therapy technique that Mbenga have taught him 2 episodes ago, and now he can't do it anymore. He doesn't remember the tradition of his people. He's not able to talk with his normal accent. You think that if like tomorrow you half my DNA, I'm not gonna have a stupid French accent? Yes, I will, because it's not in my DNA. And that's the thing. And you can turn that as many ways you want. You can turn that as like, it's Star Trek, it's make-believe, they're trying to say something. Yeah, okay. The problem is that they're perpetuating an idea that is very dangerous for people like me, that I can't be French because I don't look French. And the number of time in my life that people will tell me, oh, you're not from here. Where are you from? I'm like, down the street, because what they expect my physical traits to be are associated to what they expect my culture to be. It is true for a lot of people. I won't say But it's not true for biracial people. We are racially ambiguous for many of us. And depending on where we were educated, one of our culture is going to be stronger than the other. I do believe this is true for a lot of people. Not everybody, because, humans are incredible. But for me, I'm like, definitely Frenchly French,
Frenchly French.
Frenchly French.
Put that on a t-shirt and smoke it.
But if I have kids here, I'll fight the Americanness with all my might, but they'll be American because that's their freaking culture, because they were born here. And then what? They're going to measure their DNA and say, no, you're not American, you're Italian. Like, clearly you're Italian. And now we're going to split your DNA and you're going to be all Italian and you're going to speak like a caricature of Italian people. No. And it is very important to recognize that people who educate us, the people around us, made us who we are. Our DNA is not responsible for much. Like, we decide ourselves. We are influenced by the people around us. The education of Amanda has more to do with who Spock is than his freaking Vulcan DNA. And again, it's all fun and it's all like, comedy. But for a lot of us, it raises like daily question of people questioning who we are. And no, I am not my DNA. No, I am the education of my mother. I am the education of the people around me. I am my own decisions. And if you change my DNA, I will still be me. And the other thing, if tomorrow I wake up all white or all black, I hope that everybody's going to freak the fuck out more than all these morons on the Enterprise, because they're like, no, he's alive. You don't know that he's okay. Like, there's just a lack of reaction that is worrisome for me, because that means that, wait a minute, everybody would be cool if like I just took my other half and then be just one thing, and everybody was like, she's funnier when she speaks only French. Like, what that? It asks for me some questions that are very important in my definition of my identity. And you'll see on Twitter, a lot of people were pissed. A lot of people were pissed because a lot of people are like, I am way more than my DNA. Every single one of us are way more than our DNA. And it is sad that Star Trek still does that. They could have done the same episode, like questions, and I love them for trying to question the culture of Spock without the DNA thing. And they would have been 100% right, interesting, and relevant.
Damn.
It's true, right? I mean, there's been a lot of bad science throughout the century in that regarding like DNA and like predictive behavior and that. There was this book like decades ago, The Criminal Man by Cesar Lombroso, in which he tried to categorize criminal behavior and that by basically just race and DNA, and that those aspects are just ingrained somehow in that, and it's junk science. It's like it's up there with phrenology and that. Basically measuring the head and that, determining how like intelligence by that.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely phrenology. So, side note, I'm obsessed with phrenology. Like, I literally will thrift every single phrenology book I can find, because again, this is something that's so relevant to me for people that will judge me for the way I look culturally. And phrenology is so crazy. And on the other hand, you see that it's something that is still very ingrained in a lot of people, because you're going to look at like the review, go see other reviews for that episode, go see other podcasts, and go see podcasts that have biracial people on the pod, and people of color, or people of like different ethnicity, or adopted, because I don't speak of that. It's not my experience of life, but you can be adopted in a family that is not your race. Then what happens? You have a DNA and a totally different culture. Oh my God, what is Star Trek gonna do about this? Like, and these people were hurt. Because again, it's not just a joke. It's perpetuating a trope that is hurtful to a lot of people. And phrenology is fucking whack. Go read about this.
I will always remember the Simpsons, reference to it, and that, Mr. Burns and that measuring like that little thing. He's like, you have the brain pan of a common stagecoach driver.
Yeah. And it was used for racism widely. Like,
the Nazis
Asians are like, their eyes like did close or this far. The African have like the nose that far away, that flat. And that was a way to judge people ability to think and people ability to be cultured. That's what we see in this episode. Loki. And something I want to address. Yes, the writer is biracial. One of the writers is biracial. And that's the other thing. You can be biracial, you can be multiracial and have very different experience of life. Very, very, very different experience of life. Some biracial people are white passing. And I can tell you they have a different walk of life than I do. I have I don't have straight hair, but I don't have ethnic hair. And I have a different experience as a biracial woman than my biracial friend that is also Somalian French and has the kinkiest hair possible. And colorism is very, very in the biracial community. It's not really a community, but because we suffer from that. We are the light skins. And if you look, a lot of actresses that are black are biracial and light skin until now. Now there's like more thank Hollywood for hiring actresses that have darker skin. But the biracial women, especially white and black, have really suffered from that. Especially in American history. I'm not going to speak a lot of this because I'm not American, but the biracial kid in the US for very long time, like during slavery, biracial white and black, were product of rape. And we don't have the same experience and the same walk on life compared to, I think the writer is white and Asian, right?
Filipino American.
And, that can mean like Italian and like behind American, you have so many questions. So that's the other thing. Biracial people are not one people. We're not.
Correct. Yeah.
We're a mix of people. And you're going to have people that are going to be biracial, but have only one culture. Because both of their parents, even if they're from different race, are from the same culture.
You can even you can even look at just Filipino people. They're not just Filipino. They're Spanish and like Japanese, Chinese, and like we're a mix.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. It's like when people come at me, it's like, but the writer is biracial. I can bet you on my life that woman didn't walk her life like I'm walking mine just because she's biracial. And maybe, it took me time to interrogate all this. We don't question our identity, interrogate our place in the world at the same pace, at the same moment in our life for the same reason. Like for me, it was coming to America and facing the most brutal racism I've ever faced in my life. I'm not going to say France is not racist. France is very racist, but it's my homegrown racism. I grew up with it. I know it, like I know how to deal with it. Here I was like, oh my God, people are going to shoot me? What do you mean? And that sparked like really reflecting on this. And there was a time in my life where I thought Faces was the shit because it was talking about biracial people. And I was like, holy shit, it's me. And now I have the growth enough to being Klingon doesn't mean she's violent. She's violent because she's been taught to be violent. It's not the same fucking thing. And we're not one people. Sorry about that.
No, fair. And listen, I'm really glad that we talked after the episode. I'm glad you showed me your video because I think sometimes you and I text. Yes, Draft and I text a lot. And I don't always get like the point of what you're trying to say
all the time.
All the fucking time. And the video really helped me. And listen, like, I could just not say how I feel about the beginning of it out of respect for you, but like also out of respect for me, like, listen, I have to look at it from like my point of view too. And I did enjoy this episode. And I also know, and I know.
I enjoyed a lot of things.
I know you did. So I'm going to go from kind of, I'm going to bounce on what Eric said. Prodigy, we talked about Prodigy and how it's like been an awakening for our kids, right? And because of Kobayashi, for whatever reason, Cecily, because Spock's awesome, has latched onto Spock. So she watched the screener with us and absolutely just like adored this. So it was like super fun watching this with her, and like super fun seeing her reaction to Spock waking up and be like, what the fuck? Like, you know, her giggle is infectious. So I thought it was hilarious, but I don't want to take away a single thing of what you just said, because I think it is really important, and I'm glad that we had the conversation.
I do have a story about my daughter, but there's a point later that we're going to get to where it fits more in.
Yeah,
as we watched it today.
Let's keep going, because first contact, sure, kind of. It was weird. On board the shuttle, which La'an and Number One are inspecting, it seems the Kirkovians left a calling card, which actually looked like a little bit like Discovery 32nd Century tech. It looked really cool. They bring it back to Uhura, who is able to help open up a channel to Yellow, who Pike explains Spock's situation to. Yellow and this I guess they are like non-corporeal species, very advanced, very matter of fact, right? Yellow tells him very matter of factly that remediation was made and no further contact is necessary. Hangs up. What do we think about the advanced nature of the Kirkovians and their attitude here, Eric?
I fucking love this scene. I thought it was so funny. I love when people think that they're so. This makes me think of when being a colored person, when people think that they're so above me that they just were like, you know what, whatever, we're done, and then they just sort of like shoo you off. That's what this felt like. So it made me laugh from a painful point of my life, but it's we said earlier that the comedic chops of these people were really on display in this episode, and the joy of seeing Pike and Una being like, ooh, first contact, and then just getting shut down was so funny. It killed me. Like, not to mention the design of Yellow and everything on the bridge, like everything just looked brighter in this episode. You know, it's a lighter episode, so everything looks brighter in saturation as well. So
Pike's hair
is lower, though. It's not as high. So.
Pike's peak hasn't peaked. It peaks and ebbs and flows.
This episode, not as high. It's not the importance of this episode.
No.
That being said, I think this scene was hilarious. I loved it.
Hog.
Kind of same. When Yellow, which sounds like the customer service, like, you know, AI that would be like up ahead of some like big corporation on the phone, mentions about repairing, you know, Spock and that, based on, you know, that they found human DNA in both of them and that, and decided just to go reminded me of the cage and that, and when the Telosians didn't know how to put Mina together because they'd never seen a human before. So I was like, okay, this feels like a nod to that.
It makes sense, though.
Right. But I did love the abruptness and that, you know, the way they just like, you know, what they call it, reparations have been made.
Remunerations.
Remediations.
Yeah.
I thought it was reparations at first. It was like, oof. But yeah, remediation, which I don't know if it's much better. But.
That's why like subtitles are very important.
Yes, right.
Because I rewatched it because I was like, oh, okay, that's not what they were saying. Okay, good.
But I did find it funny how abruptly they were cut off by this species. Ooh, first contact. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I loved Yellow. I love that, like, Yellow is clearly the customer service of subspace transport.
Subspace beams.
And the Yellow has something else to do, and Yellow doesn't want to talk to Pike because Yellow just is done. Is it working? Yeah, it's working. So what do you want from me? It was not working.
This could have been an email.
It's working. What do you want? So it was like giving that. And again, that's the main problem with that episode. That scene was fucking hilarious. But when you think about what they're talking about, you're like, holy shit, fuck, what? Like,
and Eric, I want to ask you, because Eric Summers has a point about this in the chat. I want to get your opinion on this. I wonder if this was an attempt to show the racism in the healthcare industry with the aliens' attempt to, quote, fix Spock.
I didn't think that this way. Like, that's, I first of all, I was already so pissed by that time of the episode that I was like, I'm like trying to dissociate the pissiness I thought of like everything, like to just watch the episode. No, I think it's just like a little bit, it made me think a little bit of the 10C, where like just like doing the shit and they're like, you're so little, I don't even see you. And it's also the idea that our concepts of races and who we are very foreign to people from another culture.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like kind of interesting. The problem is that it's absolutely foreign for the people in Enterprise also, which is weird. But I like the fact that, okay, you have like this culture that doesn't know that mixed people can exist. Well, then do something with that fucking premise, because that's interesting. I really liked like that Pike is just like, call her back, and then we just give up. Then we're done. And see, the problem with like subtitles, on one problem they say, Yellow says, one was damaged, but contained mixed instruction, with the idea that they didn't know how to fix it because the instructions were all over the place in their perception of it. And when I watched it with no subtitle, I heard one was damaged by containing mixed instruction. And I was like,
shit.
what the fuck?
Yikes. Paramount.
The subtitles on the screen.
Screeners. Please, subtitles. Begging you. Begging you.
And I like the fact of but then like you have this, and like I think Mbenga says to Spock, there's nothing technically wrong with you. Yes, there's something profoundly technically wrong with him right now, man. I know he's walking and he's like breathing and he's not dead, but god damn, can everybody freak the fuck out or it'll be more? Like,
this is actually the place that I had the biggest issue with the episode when he says that. I'm like, why are you the chief medical officer making that statement, and the captain, who doesn't have any kind of medical training except probably like basic CPR and like emergency, whatever, is the one who's worried, who's like, I'll let you make that decision because you're my CMO, but like, take it easy, dude. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like really take your sea leg under you. It's like, you have no clue what the fuck they did to him.
Yeah.
The other thing that was weird to me is like when they say two beings were present, they did not match. Well, they're a spacefaring entity. They don't know there are different races of like species of things. It's like, I don't know, but I was like, okay, whatever. Like, sure, I'm gonna. Yeah. But I loved Yellow. I loved how they're called the cobbler. I don't remember the name of the aliens. Kirkovians, yeah. Yeah, it cracked me up. Customer service from space.
They're literally the opposite of we'd like to speak to you about your car's extended warranty. Like, they don't want to speak to you. They're just like, no, your warranty's up. Fuck off. Like, I love that.
They were like trying to like fix their tunnel, and then these idiots came and poked at it.
No.
Like
and I have to say 100% the very first thing I thought of them being this advanced and stuff was Species 10C. Like, a lot of Species 10C stuff in this episode, like, they just don't give a fuck. Yeah.
I'm gonna say something about healthcare. So every time I go to healthcare, it's like always a thing because they want to know my race. And when I tell them, well, I'm white and black, they tell me you can choose only one box, and I'm like, how do I do that? Yeah. And then they're like, can we put other? And I'm like, I'm not other. So I'm other because if I cannot choose two boxes, I cannot be what I am. And when I ask, so can I choose just white? And they're like, And then the other box, sometimes it's just African American. And I'm like, I'm not African American. There are other black people,
These are in your medical forms in the States?
Yeah. Our medical forms are so fucking archaic. It's disgusting.
What's the point?
It's illegal to
it's legal, and sometimes it's mandatory.
It's illegal to put it up here.
It's illegal in France also. It's illegal in France, yeah. But for example, African Americans have a tendency to have high blood pressure. Apparently, that's what I was told in healthcare. I have high blood pressure, which is hilarious. But they put you on list to check you for like a different thing depending on like what boxes you choose, which is insane. And so most of the time I'm just other, and I'm like, so like, how does that impact me? Like, I don't know. I'm not other. So yeah, fun fact about healthcare.
Indeed.
Oh Lord.
I said what I was already saying, interrupting Draft a couple of times, so I'll move on. Spock being told, we just touched on this, and Benga being like, he's stuck for this for now, but you're also clear for duty, was a weird move. That hit hard with me. Like, you brought it up, and I was going to bring it up in here. Like, I hated that. Like, I enjoyed this episode, but I really hated that he was like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, dude, like, of course there is. Like, this is like major fucking trauma. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
It's just
That's true.
I don't understand how Pike has the bigger reaction to this. It boggles my mind, and I wish that Pike had like overridden him. It was like, dude, no, keep him in sickbay. Like, figure this out. This is like ship priority.
Well, you don't know what like he would not have been used if they rewrote his whole DNA. He wouldn't like know how to like react.
No,
I don't understand it. Why would he not go out? Like, why would he not keep him there? That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing.
We know that.
Yeah.
We know that Spock has his heart on the other side, right? From Kelvin verse, like he has a Vulcan heart, so on the right and under his liver. Like, and in Kelvin verse, he actually gets stabbed. It's like, oh, it's just like, I almost got stabbed in the heart. And so basically the guy wakes up with like a different set of organs, a different ability to breathe, a different ability, like a different everything. And he's just like, sure, I'm hungry. And I was like, legend.
So, let's go off on that, because other than Mbega making not the greatest medical decision in the world, he does go off and have, you know, some time as a human. He spends the time laughing at the bar with friends, getting to experience a sweet taste of bacon. Comes close to beating the living shit out of Sam Kirk for the mess that he left. I think it's more the mustache, honestly. And flirts with La'an inadvertently after getting into some trouble over almost killing Sam Kirk. What do we think about Ethan Peck's acting in these scenes, Eric?
It's amazing. I'm going to go off the mega thing at the beginning.
Yeah,
it's really weird that he didn't have him come and check up on him so frequently.
Dude,
right?
he should have been attached to him at the hip.
Exactly. I'm going to go off that. We said enough of it. But this montage was fucking hilarious. I love how extreme Ethan Peck went for each little thing he's experiencing that's new. Like, the laughter was so hard hitting and so uncomfortable. Like, when he started doing it, when I was watching it with Kateri, she was just sitting there like, and I was like, I understand, child. That is too much. That's too much laughter for this joke. The bacon part, I mean, can we blame him for eating that much bacon? If he had to suppress the smell and taste the bacon, I can't. I understand. When in the opening montage, when we saw Sam Kirk making a mess and Spock was cleaning it, and he was wiping off crumbs onto the floor, which, bothered me. I understood when he got angry at Sam Kirk, because my kids leave plates everywhere and I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. There are plates on this little table that I used to paint models. Why are there plates there? Those aren't mine. Why?
Dude, the amount of times that I yelled at my kids today for leaving their shit around.
Yep.
I feel you.
Yep. I stepped on a fork today. Why was it on the floor?
I'm your kids. That's what I do. I'm Sam Kirk, like 1000%.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
I mean, like, what? It's not going anywhere. Like, why are we in a rush? Like, what do we have to do? Like, what's happening?
Why didn't he just put it put it away? It's fine.
Something else that I'm enjoying. I'm talking to the captain about an anomaly in space. I'm not going to do my briefing because I need to clean up, because that motherfucker over there is having a mental breakdown. Like, I'm sorry.
That's fair.
That motherfucker back there is not real. Like, energy.
Yeah. The La'an and Spock talk was so funny when he started getting horny, and I was just like, oh my God. It's happening. She just like, oh no, I did something bad. Like, he's so funny. He was so funny this episode. He did a good job.
Yeah. Hog.
Same, despite the concept and the writing and everything and that, Ethan Peck had a great time doing this episode, because it really gave him an opportunity to expand, beyond the character and that, and do something different, and he took full advantage of it. I loved him vocalizing every emotion that he had felt. My favorite
We've
bit
all
was,
been like to the I'm hungry. Like I say
Yeah.
that all the time. As soon as I feel hungry, I'm gonna say it. Everybody needs to know because I'm gonna be a bitch. So you know to know why I'm being mean. I'm hungry. Hungry.
and Benga, it's like, I'll get you some food. I am grateful that you care. And then that freak out he had in that in front of Pike and then Benga and that about the upcoming dinner, the rehearsal dinner for the wedding and that, and basically, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So, despite it, Ethan Peck shined in this episode.
Giraffe.
Ethan Peck is like the MVP of that fucking franchise. He's so like the moment where he wakes up and goes like, "What the fuck?" I was mad. I was like, "Oh my god, that is so hilarious." That was the way he acts like every single 13-year-old I know is incredible, and I think that's how I'm gonna choose to watch that episode. Is that he's not been DNA reconstruct or whatever. He's 13 in his head. And then everything makes sense. It's just himself,
Yeah.
but he's 13. Doesn't know what his mother is telling him, doesn't remember how to do shit, doesn't want to do shit, gets pissed, horny, lazy, laughs awkwardly, doesn't remember how to speak with his own voice. 13-year-old boy. And I can tell you, he's never cold also. It's not cold, not cold, not cold. Like, so I really like the different bits I thought were making a lot of sense. Like the fact that Spock is pissed at the crumbs, and then even when he's human, he's still pissed at it. I mean, it was like, yeah, absolutely. If you're like that kind, like my husband is like this. That's not genetic. It's because he's been broken by his mother, most probably. Like, it's true. It's true. So even if you change his DNA, he's going to have the same problem. And I like that. I like the fact that his reaction to the thing was different. I like the fact that he's horny because it's so fucking hilarious. He goes like after Lon. You're like, really? Lon? Like, I mean, I see it, but like, that's a dangerous move, man. Like,
She got Jim Kirk feelings right now.
like that's dangerous. This woman can break your neck. Like, really? You're going to go for it? The audacity. And then the bacon thing. The bacon thing, as much as the scene was hilarious because I love bacon and, everybody loves bacon, I suppose. Spock is vegetarian by choice. He's not vegetarian. He's vegetarian by culture. He's not vegetarian by DNA again. And, I know that he couldn't smell before. So for me, I took it, now he can smell. So he sees that bacon smells very good. And that's why he wants to eat bacon. I mean, again, my husband, I'm talking about a lot about that guy today. He's
Has he ever made like an official cameo on the pod? Like, has he been on the podcast
so.
proper?
I don't know. I don't remember.
know if
He
he has.
exists. I
He
swear
like
he's
his
real.
face his head in,
but his,
I don't think
Yeah.
his face
he's walked
has.
by.
I don't know. He's somewhere. I don't know where he is. Most of the time, I don't know where he is. It's fine. So he's a vegetarian. He's been a vegetarian for like, I don't know, 30 years or something. No, that's 25 years or something like that. And when I cook meat, like roasted chicken or cook bacon, he's like, but he's not gonna eat it. He's not, because he made that choice, and for him it's a value, and he doesn't want to eat anything that's been killed, and fair enough. And I respect his value, so I don't offer him like meat. And I was just like, they know he's vegetarian. We know he's vegetarian because and it's by culture. T'Pol speaks about it, and he speaks about it in Strange New World in the first season also. And I was just like, I don't know. That was a bit weird to me, but sure, why not? Why not? And I love the thing that we'll go back to the nasal suppressant that T'Pol has to invent, basically, because she's dying on that freaking ship. And I really like that. But I have a question. Why is he not accustomed to human scent? His mother is human. I suppose they didn't block his scent when he was a little boy. So that's the scent of his mother. I don't know. That seems weird to me. That I was like, that's such a... Imagine Amanda having her own son, having something in his nose to not smell her. Like, that'd be like...
It's, yeah.
Poor woman.
yeah.
I
Poor
bet
woman.
he's not offended by Amanda's scent on that, because as a baby, he probably
You
bonded to her
yeah.
as with
But
that
then
scent.
he's accustomed to human scent, no?
No,
Because
I
that's
agree
the
with
idea
you.
that Vulcan
Everyone
like
smells
smell us
different.
like as all the same.
But that
like,
is
we
true.
just
Everybody
smell.
does smell different. That's a good point.
But I don't know.
Except
Anyway,
at
that was
Comic-Con.
just like I was like, poor woman. That poor woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in stitches with the Sam Kirk stuff. I was dying. Like I loved it. As far as the bacon bit, I think like going off what you were saying, Giraffe, like him being a 13-year-old boy, I'll revert. I'll talk about this as being a Jew and being a 13-year-old boy who's trying to fast right during Yom Kippur, right? When I was a 13-year-old boy, and if we're thinking of him, that's kind of his emotional level at this point in the episode. I definitely snuck in during high holiday services into the synagogue kitchen and found whatever food I could and ate it, even though I was supposed to be fasting. So I get Spock having a bit of a cheat day when he smells bacon for the first time. I'll allow it. I love bacon, and I like cheating on Yom Kippur because I'm a horrible, horrible Jew. But that's on me. Ethan Peck just destroyed these scenes with his acting. It was just brilliant. I loved it.
But see, the whole episode makes more sense if you just is a
100%. 100%.
and not is a human. And then you're like, oh yeah, like I'll buy it. I'll buy that. By the way, I'm just gonna plug Trek Untold because I worked with Matthew on one question and he asked via me that I asked to Ethan Peck via him on that precise topic. So I don't know when it's gonna air. He told me. But I'm very happy. I can't say anything, but like, go listen to it. I was name dropped in front of.
By the
Ethan
way,
Peck. I can die in peace.
Matthew, if you're listening, I know we talked before the season started about you coming on for one of these episodes. You're overdue, so let's make it happen. Where are we? I can't. I did it after a song called Amanda. I forget the name of the band. It's a good band. I got a song quote for this headline. I can't wait another day, Amanda. Amanda Grayson, played by the amazing. By the way, everyone on this podcast and everyone literally on the Discord has the hots for her. So we're gonna get that out of the way right now. Yes, she's hot.
So
she's beautiful. We're getting that out of the way. Played by the amazing Mia Kirshner, makes her return to Trek, once again cementing, for all those people that say differently, fuck you, by the way, the connection to disco as well. Seeing that Spock is wearing a beanie, looking at you, Duras sisters, she tells him to take that hat off. Realizing that they can't postpone the Vishal dinner anymore, Amanda decides not only to teach him everything he needs to explore, but also train him to use some of his human characteristics that she never taught him. Also, Uhura made the best Vulcan on the crew. I'm just saying, out of the people that told him how to speak like Vulcan, she did a good job. What do we think about Amanda's return, Eric?
I love Mia Kirshner. I know we said that already, but she's amazing. She was amazing when we saw her on Disco, and I remember, was it before we saw the screeners? We were like, I hope she comes back.
Oh yeah, we've been saying it. Yeah,
for a while,
Saying
right?
it for like 10 episodes.
Yeah. So the fact that she came back was wonderful, and she fits so well. And I love her portrayal of Amanda Grayson. There's an air of, it feels like she's royal but like generous at the same time, which is great. The toque or beanie that Spock wears looks like it came out of Roots from Eaton Center that they just took that one day that they filmed. It looks exactly like a toque I have. So that made me laugh. The whole the idea that Amanda had to reteach him how to teach his human side, which is lying. I thought it was a weird way of saying that. I don't know why. It just hit me a little weird.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story about, again, me and my eldest daughter watched this episode later, and she had questions about this. And we'll get there. But all in all, she was amazing, seeing her back. The fact that we got some more backstory about this Amanda Grayson, or I guess Amanda Grayson in general. I don't know why I said this one, about how she had to hide, or how she had to fit in Vulcan culture. You know, when she did the tea ceremony, she's like, I had to hide my emotions or hide my pain. And I was like, there's so many layers in what she just said there. And it's heartbreaking and you know, it shows how resilient she was to live in this different society that, you know, other than what she, you know, grew up in.
Nice. Hawk?
Same. Mia Kirshner. We've known her since the 90s. You know,
94.
Yeah, in Exotica, Adam McGowan's Exotica. Then the L Word, she was fantastic.
It's fucking amazing in the L Word.
Yeah. And her returning as Amanda Grayson is just the terror. It's the best part of this episode, I think. As the only person who can help Spock in this particular situation that they're inventing. I came up with a movie analogy about this section. I'll talk about it a little later. But yeah, I mean, like, she was someone who fell in love with a Vulcan, you know, who happened to be the ambassador of Earth, and that, and things were expected of her living on Vulcan, and that, and you know, it had to have been like just hell for her, and that, and yet, but she adapted, and this is why she's here. She's like, son, I put up with these people for so long, I know exactly what you got to do. The bit with the teapot was great. He touches this like, and she's just like, makes a little tiny smirk and then just pours it. Loved her in this episode.
Giraffe?
Praise Amanda. Oh my God, I wanted to see her so bad, so bad. First of all, because, oh my God, she's so beautiful. Second, I love every single thing she wears. Every single thing in all franchises and all movies and always. Like, she's so classy. She's so beautiful. And like, when you watch Disco also, and like her relationship with her son, it's so beautiful. It's so complicated. Like, you can never forget Spock crying about his mother in TOS, and you're like, I never told my mother I love her, and he cries, and you're like, see, like I'm always happy to see her, and I like that we explore for Spock, because apparently we have to speak only about Spock. So, you know, that's what we're doing. But I like when we explore different kind of relationship, like son-mother is an interesting relationship. And like the sibling relationship we explored. So yeah, you know, I was happy to see her. I love how Amanda, I mean, I have many questions about Amanda, because again, like, it's not now, right? She had to become an immigrant. I am an immigrant, been an immigrant for like 20 years. And yeah, you have to fit in, like, you know, you respect like the local culture, but then fuck also about like not having your own culture. Like, that's a bit ridiculous that you can't be yourself. Like, if Sarek marries her, he knows she's a human. He doesn't expect, like, how can you expect from somebody from another culture to be entirely of your culture? Then just marry inside your own culture. Like, what do you want? Like, my husband, again, my God, doesn't expect me to be fully American. Like, he knows there are things that I just don't comprehend, or like that I refuse to do, or refuse to. I'm not gonna go do like July 4th. Like, why would I do that? Like, I don't even do Bastille Day tomorrow. Bastille Day. So, you know, yeah, it was just, I was so happy to see her, but then there are many things that are clunky. Like, she taught that guy, like, she's his mother. Like, how can she be so cool that he doesn't remember or doesn't know how to do the thing that she taught him? And the thing with the pain and the kettle was really a beautiful metaphor of like all the shitty thing you have to do that are contrary to your culture, but that you do for the peace of the situation, you know, because that's easier to do that than to fight, or that's easier to do that and having a little bit of fitting in. And sometimes you just want to fit in because you're fucking tired of always being the other, right? And the line's like, what is it about pain? I don't remember the line.
When you live on Vulcan, you learn to
go through line to endure pain or something like that. And I was like, damn.
It's a great line.
No, and that was perfectly delivered.
Yeah.
I'm a bit. I hope my mother would freak out way more if something like this happened to me. And we'd be like, we're not doing this shit. We're not doing that thing. We're not doing the blah. And she's coming on the Enterprise because he was so hurt that he couldn't come on Vulcan. And they're just cool with it. They're just like, oh no, he's hurt. He's super hurt. But like, let's go.
Yeah, we're going to do it anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like that. I don't know what else to say. You guys all hit it on the head. Like, I fucking love Mira Kirshner. I have watched The L Word with 2 different ex-girlfriends. Funny enough, never watched it with Karen. But I love The L Word. It's amazing. And I love her in it. And when she got cast as Amanda in Discovery, I lost my shit. I was so excited. So to see Mira Kirshner, I hope this isn't a one-off. I hope she's back many more times as long as Strange New Worlds is on. Was so happy to see her. The reaction was weird as fuck. I would just be like, no, it's done. We're not doing this thing. Fuck off. I don't care who you are, and I don't care what, like, you know, relationship your husband has with my husband. Like, we're not doing this right now. Because Savell and Sarek are apparently buddy.
Which I want to see.
Yeah, right? Because they're two very different. They're 2 very different people. Anyway, I love Amanda. I'm so happy she's back. I'm going to quickly burn through trivia because we still have a lot to get to and we are running very late tonight, for good reason. So trivia, we have 2 winners. Guys, we only got 2 people that answered trivia this week. I don't know if I'm making them too hard. If I'm making them too hard, tell me. I'll tone them down a little bit. But our winners from episodes 303 and 304 trivia are our very own executive producer, Chris, Commander Chris, congrats, and also Adam Sanders. The answers were, Chris answered them on Discord in like the best way with like pictures. It was great. Vega Colony for where the Enterprise was headed. And I actually don't remember what the other trivia question was, but it was a good one. So yeah, those are our winners. We will get in touch with you where to send you your Hemmer stickers. Remember, if you answer trivia and you haven't gotten one of these yet, you're getting these stickers. So answer trivia. Speaking of, our question this week. I don't care. I don't have to read the question. Who wants to read the trivia question?
Ooh, I could read that.
Do it, Hawk. Hit it.
Yeah. Let me just call it up here. So the question this week. In the TOS episode, What Are Little Girls Made Of? What did Christine Chapel... How did Christine Chapel describe Roger Corby?
Indeed. And that is a bit of a hard one. You have to do a little bit of research, but you can find it.
Damn, do I know that?
Yeah,
I remember the scene very clearly, but do I know the exact words?
Yeah.
I don't think I do.
You don't need it. It doesn't need to be the exact quote. You can give me the word, right? Or a word that's like it. I will accept it. You can email us at trivia@strangenewpod.com, DM me or DM our socials with the answer. Let's play some charades, okay? T'Pring beams aboard ahead of her parents, annoyed, as we've never ever seen a Vulcan be annoyed with her mother, or just in general. Maybe not in general, but very annoyed. Because of this, Spock makes, and I think, this is me personally, the mistake of not filling T'Pring in on the situation. Thoughts, Eric?
What a terrible idea. Like,
Right.
This is the person you're supposed to marry, and you just, this is a major thing that has happened to you, and you just leave them out. I know people are stressed and you want to, you don't want to burden them, but this, by not telling her, that's way more of a burden. Like, it's insane to me that he did that to her.
Yeah, agreed. Hawk?
I know the same, but also I liked how empathetic Spock was towards her. He was more concerned about her and the situation and what she was going through, and she was kind of responding in kind to it, and that even managing to crack a joke at one point, which almost blew Spock's cover. That was amazing.
That was funny.
That was good.
But yeah, it was an insane decision on his part in that, because like he was reacting, I guess, more to like, being more emotional as a human in that, to where it's like, I don't want to put more stress on her because she's already stressed out. She totally waved off the whole like formality in that when she first beamed aboard, and that it's like, I'm tired. It's like T'Pring always, never part. It's like, enough.
No, fuck off.
Enough. I've been dealing with my mother for 3 days, and that, just forget it. But still terrible decision on his part.
Draft.
I love T'Pring. I think she is the best writing of a legacy character that they've given us so far, especially because they have nothing on T'Pring. Let's be honest. Like, they have Amok Time, and we see she's a badass, and she's very smart, and she knows what she's up. And I like the fact that you can recognize this in her when you can't recognize the Spock of TOS in here. Like, you can't. I don't see him. And he's a pretty terrible fucking person, like, right now. Like, let's be honest, the way he's treating T'Pring is fucking horrible. Like, you should not treat the woman in your life like Spock is doing. This is absolutely out of line. Like, we know he's actually excited about seeing her at the beginning of the episode.
Oh, like
He's
stoked.
saying-
Yeah.
Yeah, say it in his log. Like, I mean, we've seen them sleep together. Like, they have a close relationship. Like, she talks to him, and like she's annoyed by her mother. And we know from Spock Amok that she is going, and he knows so because he's her when that happens, that she's going through a lot of bullshit on Vulcan, a lot of like derogatory things, of judgment, of racism, because she wants to marry Spock. The fact that Spock doesn't trust her, because that's it, he doesn't trust her. They can be like, oh, she's stressed, he doesn't want to put the brother. No. You're married. You know, when you have stuff like that happening to you, you say that to your significant other.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be the person that are going to have your fucking back. And if they're not, then they should not be your significant other. Move on. The fact that he does that, again, if you think that he's a 13-year-old boy, makes sense, okay, you know, but it's still writing in the fact that like she can't be trusted, or that she's not mature enough, or that she's not smart enough, or that she would not be empathetic enough. And everything that Strange New World has showed us is that T'Pring is smart, is empathetic, and will care for what is going on, and will be his greatest ally. The fact that Spock doesn't know that shows how willing T'Pring is going to be to murder him, because I would.
Right.
Because that motherfucker,
Yeah.
you're sleeping with
Yep.
me, you
Yep.
making me like cross the fucking space with like your goddamn brother in Tar to save your goddamn life. You get me in bed, and then when something happens like this, you don't tell me, you fuck me over in front of my parents, and then what? You sleep with the nurse? Dude, you'd be on Reddit the next day.
Yep. And I agree with literally everything you just said, except for this isn't like how Spock is. I think this is exactly the Spock that we've known for the past 55 years. Spock, and who said it in the chat? Stress-free K. Spock is like his dad, and he keeps too much to himself. Spock has made it some life decision to just not share shit with anybody, his family, his closest
they didn't know
friends.
he had the goddamn
He doesn't know
sister.
he has a sister, a half brother, until they're in a fucking prison cell together. Spock is a fucking idiot. And yes, Beef Lamaine, 100%. He's being a fucking Ross. He's being an idiot. That's a Friends reference for those who haven't watched Friends. This is Spock's MO.
He's immature also.
And by the end of this episode, if you don't fully understand, like Giraffe just said, this is just like so mind-boggling to me, why T'Pring makes him fight to the death. I mean, it's all laid out. I'm talking with my hands so much right now because it's just like, this is so
The Italian DNA, man.
No, it's
Oh,
the Greek one.
It's the Greek. This is the like, this is so Spock, and it's just like you could almost say that this is the beginning of Spock being a fucking idiot for like the entirety of his life until he dies. And then I think after he dies, he starts sharing no, even after he dies, he doesn't tell Kirk that he has a half brother who's a homicidal maniac.
True. Think about it also. Like, even that's the last moment they see each other until Amok time, you imagine that dude just like never talk to me again, and then shows up like, I need to fuck you because I'm gonna die.
Right? Yeah, I would make him fight to the death too. So,
Oh my God, yes, come over.
As much
Let's
as
see.
as much as it's infuriating, right? You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Of course you tell her. I love the writing of this because it sets up Amok time more, and it's very just who the fuck Spock is. Anyway, I loved that he didn't tell her for canonical reasons. T'Pring and Savette arrive, or is it Savette or Savell? Savell? Savette? I think it's Savell. Arrive at Pike's quarters for dinner. What did we think about this entire sequence, including T'Pring's parents and T'Pring's diss track on Spock and his house, Eric?
It says Savette on IMDb. So
I know.
Savell.
It is Savette.
yeah.
It is Savette. Okay, Savette.
I blame IMDb if I'm wrong. First off, I love that they cast two Expanse actors as T'Pring's mom and dad. Like that's amazing. Anytime I see these two people or any Expanse actors show up in other sci-fi, it makes me happy. That being said, this whole sequence made me so uncomfortable because it feels like me going, when you're dating someone who's white and their parents don't like non-white people, and that's what this felt like the whole time. I was like, this gave me so many, I want you to meet my parents vibes. And then going to their house and being like, oh fuck, they don't like me is it because I'm a boy or is it because I'm not a white boy?
I dated a Chinese girl in high school and I met her parents and this was like the exact, yeah.
So it felt real. And I assume the Phil American writer probably felt the same way, like during that, because it felt very authentic. The whole sequence was hard to like. It was painful because they just kept on like hitting, like tearing him down, and him not being able to suppress his emotions was heartbreaking. Like I understood why he had to yell into that pillow.
Yeah.
Fuck. Or it was a towel. But to see T'Pring, I don't know if we said this later, T'Pring sort of came to his defense at the end. He's like, mother, you don't have to add something at this point. We're done. You just have to say that we're done. I was like, fuck, this is why you're amazing. You're amazing, T'Pring. And he did all that to her. Man, the woman playing T'Pring's mother, T'Pril, was brutal. Like it was like it was glass every time, just cutting. Oh man, I it hurts to watch it, but it was done really well, like really well.
Yeah. Hawk?
Yeah, it was at this point in the episode I realized what they were going for with this. They were doing a remake of the Birdcage, the old Robin Williams, Nathan Lane film.
I think it's a play before that, La Cage aux Folles.
Yeah,
originally it's a French play, French movie and a French play. Yeah,
yeah, it's 1978.
Yeah.
It was the movie
La
first.
Cage aux Folles. That's the name.
La Cage aux Folles. Was the movie first or the play first?
It was a play first, then they made a French movie, then he went to the US, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But it's the idea of being something you're not for the sake of the conservative parents of the bride that you're marrying and that. And it's like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, it was awkward in the worst. And Savette, jeez, like, is that a good example of a Vulcan? It's just like completely like, he loved Pike's like hors d'oeuvre and that until my wife reminded him that, we don't like it in that because it's not traditionally made. And just deferring. I've never seen that like with any Vulcan represented in Star Trek before. Like someone just like with no kind of free will.
Yeah, no backbone, right?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just easier for him.
Yeah. Giraffe?
I really loved the father. He cracked me up so much. And again, see, there was like so many nuggets where like they were like almost right. The fact that Pike, who's human, can make perfect Vulcan food. See, they were like things, and I was just like, see it, but use it if you want to criticize this, like nurture virtual cultures, like the what you can do because you learned it, or what you can do because that's your DNA. Like, okay, use the things around you. Use the things around you. Use the things around you. I like the fact that we see that basically you have different Vulcans. Like very often the Vulcans are like always the same. They all like this. They have the same way of thinking, but you see that she's being a jerk. The father is like, I don't really care. Like, I'm just a bit like, I think there's like too many representation of Indian parents that refuse that their daughter marry in another race. I know that's something that exists a lot, but I know that there are people that are open-minded also, and I'm like, is there like again the same thing, but like now they're Vulcan, but they're still all from Indian ethnicity also. I'm just like, I was a bit like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it was a little bit too much, you know? It was a bit, like, I love Jia Sandu, she's amazing, but there were, like, too many parallels. I was like,
I got those parallels as well. T'Pring's parents reminded me very much of Kamala's parents.
Yeah, exactly.
In Miss Marvel. Like, I kept thinking, oh, it's Kamala's parents. Yeah,
and I'm like, I saw that already. I'm like, is that a bit? It was a bit easy, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I would have wished for something else, but you know what? At that point, I was already done with that episode, so I don't know. But yeah, the parents like were very interesting, and there were so many missed opportunity in this conversation. So many that could have made that episode a great episode in the question of race and biracialism and acceptance and fitting in. And there was like so many missed moments where I was like, oh,
yeah.
Amanda could have said something. T'Pring is the only one that actually fucking says something.
And she gets the shaft for it from Spock. Yeah, it's
like she is the only one that like has her head on her fucking shoulder. And the rest, they all act like
Pike tries to help so much.
Sorry?
Pike tries to help so much as in any way that he can. He was everybody's talking about how good he was as like a background character in this scene.
Oh yeah,
his facial
expressions.
He's just sipping the oh boy.
Yeah, he's like, whoa.
MC's correcting me. T'Pring does not get the shaft at the end of this episode. That's right. No vigorous shafting there. No.
Oh, and I know we didn't speak about something, but can we address the fucking prosthetic ears? I was so shocked by this. I was like, hot take. But Vulcan exists in Star Trek. Like, they're a race that exists in Star Trek, right? They don't exist now, but they exist for them. Masquerading as another race by painting your face or gluing ears, a race that exists, is not okay. It's not okay. It was very uncomfortable. And I know you're going to be, oh, but he's Vulcan. Well, no, he's not right now. They made a point that he's not Vulcan now. And I'm just like, I was thinking, if I was in that situation, if I suddenly was white, would I paint my face to make sure that people think that I am who I am? I fucking wouldn't. Over my dead fucking body. Because I found it like very questionable. And it made me very uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable. And the fact that like everybody's like, oh, it's such a good idea. Giraffe, we're gonna paint you black. Like, I'm just. They had so many excuses to not have this thing happen. I just think that it's again masquerading as a race physically.
Okay, can I counter that with then? Over the past 55 years in Star Trek, every single time they beam down into a planet and have to surgically alter themselves to be Romulans or Klingons or Vulcans, is that
they do it too? In like the first season, but it's for like it. Then I have why didn't they do that? Why did they glue fucking like party city
They
ears?
said it because Mbenga said specifically
they said it because of the genetics, right?
If she's able to figure this out and be able to cure you, it may interfere with that, so we can't do that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with that, and I think I'm more uncomfortable with that than in like every like other thing you talked about because he is Vulcan, and he's masquerading as his own culture when he's been saying for like a whole episode that he cannot even remember how to make tea because it's in DNA. It's DNA.
Right.
You learn how to make tea from your DNA coding, but like. I don't know. That whole thing like made me uncomfortable, to be honest. Like when they show up with the prosthetic ear, I was like, please do not do that. Please do not do that. Please do not do that. But yeah, I didn't like it at all. And if they had done it in another way, I think his final monologue would have been way better. Like MC, we need to rewrite that episode. Like, I know you do that.
She does.
It's
She does.
savable. Like, there are many good things in it. There are many, many good things.
Yeah.
But like, like, I don't know. It made me uncomfortable. I don't say I'm right. I just say that when I watch it, I was like,
how you feel is important. I don't agree with you, but how you feel is totally important, and I totally understand it.
Like, it went over my head the first time I watched it, and then when you talked about it in the chat, and I was like, I can't not see it that now. Every time I watch
and it hit differently than when they do like the genetic thing, like to go on a planet and be like undercover. It does.
I almost think
differently.
that's worse, right? Because you're completely faking.
I don't know, but this one like really hit in another way. Like it's.
But is that maybe because of how you already felt about the episode, which I think makes perfect sense?
Most probably because
right?
they made it. Oh, that's the other thing. They made that episode about race, right? The other episode when they go on Romulus and stuff, it's not about race. It's about like spies or Romulans or fucking over people. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not about it. But that episode is specifically talking about that. And then you're already in that mindset. So when they go there, you're already on the mindset that they're masquerading as another race. And I was like, I don't know, I'm comfortable with this. And I do think it's because of that. When they do the DNA thing in other episodes, it's like sci-fi shit, you know?
MC does have a great answer to this, though. The best answer, they already said he was in a horrible shuttle accident. Just bandage his fucking head. Just bandage his fucking head. Or keep him rocking the beanie because he has scars.
He says, like, my eyebrows got nipped or something.
They
and
were singed.
Like, oh, I can see that. Yeah. I don't know. It was weird to me, to be honest.
Yeah. I loved T'Pring's dad so much. I love that he loved the food, and I love that I loved him. And I have to say, I adored Pike this entire episode. From the minute that T'Pril starts diss tracking Spock about like who he is and being a disgrace to his family and Vulcans, and Pike just like the amount of bourbon that Pike drank in this episode. I mean, there should be a fucking drinking contest. I know that there's maybe the argument for T'Pril being the evil mother-in-law trope, but the way that I keep seeing this episode and keep watching this is, again, I feel like this season of Strange New Worlds has been connecting to Enterprise a lot, right? Like this is only maybe not even 100 years, maybe 100 years or so after Enterprise. There is still hardcore inherent racism towards humans on Vulcan. And from everything I gathered from this episode, T'Pril is one of those people. Like, she does not like humans. She probably doesn't agree with the Federation and Vulcans, you know, sharing so much with humanity during the times of Enterprise. I think a lot of that is still there, and I think that's very well represented here. I really liked that. The diss track is just freaking brutal, and I do love that T'Pring, despite being completely screwed over in this episode, tries as hard as she can to stick up for Spock. So, let's see, where are we? Chapel? Yes. During all of this, Chapel goes through the portal with Uhura and Ortegas, right, to call out the Kirkovians and get things set right. Thoughts on this sequence and Chapel revealing her true feelings for Spock, Eric?
Visually, I thought this was amazing. I thought it was gorgeous. The set that they were on in that inner space area was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. It blows my mind. The scene was all right, I guess. It was awkward. It felt awkward for me.
It was
when she was talking about her feelings, and then they're like, "Come on, tell us how you love him." I'm like, fuck, I don't like this. I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Fair, yeah. Hog.
I did like the build up into it, where it's like if it wasn't the fact that she was, you know, doing this all for Spock, and this would have been kind of a great Chapel episode. And that, you know, it's like going into the heart of that corridor and meeting an alien species, and that after being turned down by the, you know, Vulcan. Well, actually, was she turned down at this point by the Vulcans?
The VSA, I think, no, the Vulcan Science Academy.
Yeah,
at this point in the episode,
no, she had not been turned down yet.
Not yet.
They would look at her stuff. She's prepping.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. And this could have been a great plot, like kind of tying all that into if they had expanded it out. But she was there pursuing it for Spock. I enjoy that this was like an away mission with like Chapel and Uhura, and you know, Sorry,
Ortega's.
Yes. I was enjoying it, and then, it got into that part. It's like, it's like, say it.
She just
Say
needed
yes.
cue cards to
Say
hold up.
yes.
I was like, fuck.
Say yes. The most awkward
box.
scene in disco ever. Say yes. Say yes.
Like
You didn't want to remember that scene, but I do.
No, I do. Please say yes.
Please say yes. Say yes.
Hawk, you good?
I'm good.
Giraffe.
Okay, so I was here for Chappelle during this episode because, first of all, she's doing science stuff, and I was like, that's what I want to see. Too bad it's for Spock, but at this point, beggars can be choosers. So I'm like, sure, like I'll take it. I'll take it. She's the only one that takes the situation seriously.
Yeah.
She is the only one that is like, this is not right, and she says it so many times when everybody's like, and. She's like, it's not right. That is not right. He's broken. This is not how he should be. This is not him. He should not be like this. He's broken. He's like, this is not good. And like, she works her ass off trying to fix that when everybody's like kind of taking it like, not like a joke, but like type end.
Yeah.
A little bit like Tuvix, like it's a good, it's like it's a thing now. Like what?
Yeah.
So I really like Chapel, and I was really into, I love when the ladies get a shuttle and go on an expedition. I fucking love it. Like Lorelei signal every single day. Let's go. And so they take that shuttle. Are we going all the way there?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Okay,
We're there.
okay, so-
We're there. Yeah.
First of all, it's beautiful. Oh my God, like the air walls, incredible. It's so good. And there's this scene where they're like, oh my God, say it. And I'm just like, oh, what is that? The Mean Girls? Like, did I?
I thought it was so cheesy that like she made them turn around. It's like,
And
dude,
let's
it's
be-
not
let's-
11th grade.
Let's be real. These aliens that are talking to her, they're like customer service. They don't give a fuck that you're in love with him. You say, I'm his doctor.
Yeah.
Like, I will trust my doctor to explain anything that's going on with my health better than my husband. How many times I've name dropped him today? Too much.
Way
I
too
don't
much.
even-
Like
For somebody
he
that
might
I
as well
don't
be
even
on
know
the
where he
fucking
is. I don't know where he is.
But you love him. You love him. You love him.
But
You love
yeah,
him.
he loves me. He can explain what's going on with my DNA. No, he cannot. And that's the thing that I was like, oh my God, again, such a missed fucking opportunity. Like, Chapel could have been that badass woman in STEM that I've been asking for 16 episodes, 15 episodes, and be, I'm his doctor. I've been working on a cure because you messed up. I know all this about this DNA structure. I'll know all that. And that is who I am. And she's like prepping for that internship. Like, plant, baby,
Get to
plant.
business. Yeah. Yeah.
And these aliens should be respecting that because they seem to be more like technology inclined, than like, they love us, it's great. And I was like, oh my God. This is one, the scene was cheesy. Second, it was like, you don't do that in a fucking wormhole. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And three, it's just a missed opportunity again.
Yep. Love Spapple again. I ship them. Whatever. I'm flawed, but I hated this scene too. It was dumb. I hated that they made her turn around. Like this was good until it wasn't. But I do love the aliens. I thought it was beautiful. I love how they talk too. They're just like so matter of fact. It is like speaking to a chat bot when you're on the customer service phone. Like it's exactly what it is. So I love that. But it was cheesy. Chapel does come back and reintroduces Spock's DNA. We get a scene, I think MC is going to like that I brought this up, very reminiscent of that from Trek 09, where the Vulcan Science Academy talks about Spock's handicap being his mother. It's, I think, almost word for word, actually. Spock staunchly defends his mother in just a beautiful scene. Thoughts on this, Eric?
I loved it. I love that scene in Trek 09. So when they did a sort of mini homage to it here, I was like, yeah. And of course, like, don't diss someone's mom. Fuck you. God damn. This does remind me of this is the part I'm going to tell my story about Kateri, she doesn't really watch Strange New Worlds because it doesn't have Janeway, and she wants to see Janeway. So hashtag save Star Trek Prodigy. And we watched this episode today, and at the end of it, like, she loved it. She thought it was funny. But at the end, she was like, it's weird that Spock had to hide that, half of him. And this was like, my daughter's biracial. So this, she said to me, it's weird that he had to hide half of him. Like, it's weird that, because it's all of him. That's what she said. She said, that's all of him. It's not like he's missing something. Like, even for someone so young to realize that here. And it was awesome. It started a conversation about her being biracial. And it was not something I expected in this episode. So that I appreciate. And that, Chapel defending him before in that little scene that I forgot to mention earlier. And then him defending his mom, like the human part of him, like it brought back so many feelings. And the fact that my daughter connected to it too, like she's the both sides of her are her. I know. I loved it. I thought that was great.
Buck?
Same. It was definitely a homage to 09, and that, it's like as soon as they started attacking the mother, that's always been his trigger point, right? It was a trigger point for the Vulcan Science Academy when they turned it down and that. It was great that he actually, kind of turned to her directly in that and addressed this to her instead of Thrill. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Draft?
I love it. I didn't see the reference to 09 at all, but like, sure. He's a mama's boy. He's a mama's boy in like every series. Like, you love his mom. Like, good. But I don't know. I was conflicted about that, defending his mother. There were like a few points that, again, if they had been changed, would have made more sense. Especially when he says like, a human has done like, I've done the tea, like, and so on, like along. I was like, boy, even if you didn't have like your DNA change, you would still be a human also. It's not like just now that you're a human. You're a human all the fucking time. And see, that was one of these missed opportunity. I felt that, he got the thing from Chapel. They could have like done some like, jumbo mungo like magic, and he had like his ear back, and it was not the prosthetic anymore. And it was like, and he could have said, yeah, a human made this tea because I'm a human also.
Too. Yeah.
And then bam, you have it. It's a beautiful message. It shows that he has understood that he is Vulcan and he is human, even if he didn't grow up in a human culture of his mother, because he grew up on Vulcan. That is still who he is. She gave him many things, even if he doesn't realize it. And if they want to like just come and like count your chromosomes, then yeah, you're both. Yeah. I love the fact that she shares a memory with him of herself being cast away, being, not accepted, and the moment where she sees him accepted. And I think it's a moment also where she chooses to not educate him in an human way also, and just educate him on only a Vulcan way. And my parents made that choice. My father wanted me to be French because he wanted me to go through less bullshit that he had to do. And so I didn't know my father's language. I was not educated in his culture because they wanted me to be French. And I am 100% culturally French. But then still people don't see me as French. And we come back to like the problem with that episode. But I thought it was beautiful that he was defending his mother. I really like this insight into Amanda's on why she didn't give him more of her culture, because she wanted him to go through less bullshit that she had to go through. And I know it's a choice that many immigrants' parents do. And like you see many people who don't speak the language of their parents because the parents were like, you're going to speak English or you're going to speak French, because like that, people won't question who you are. Joke's on you. People always question who the fuck we are. because they associate culture and DNA. And we come back to the problem of that episode again. But I thought it was really beautiful because I remember when I was old enough to realize the struggle that my parents had to go through as an mixed couple, thing that as a kid I couldn't comprehend, and then as an adult I was like, that was a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that she feels that her son has gone out of the sphere of influence of his father enough that she can hinge into his life and into his helping him identify and helping him know who he is. And I think it's beautiful. I wish somebody would have done that for me. I want to be adopted by Amanda. You know, it's like in the Spider-Verse when she's like, please adopt me.
Yeah.
Same. I was like, please adopt me. Yeah.
I love this scene, and I love that he sticks up for her because it's very much the same thing, and I think it is again word for word from '09 the way that T'Pril words it. And I am a mama's boy because my mom died when I was 5, and there's not a day I don't think about her. And I remember this specifically because the first time I ever got suspended from school is because some poor kid decided to make a "your mama" joke to me, and I kicked him under a foosball table and destroyed him. Not saying that violence is okay, but your mama joke set me off, and that kid paid for it. So I respect Spock sticking up for his mother. I stick up for my mother, even though she's been gone for ages. I adored this scene.
You know why I don't stick up for my mother? Because you come at my mother, you're going to have to deal with her. And she's way more terrifying than I am.
Also awesome. Yeah. So T'Pring, we come back around to T'Pring. Very much in the right here, by the way. Tells Spock how much they've been through, and still he doesn't tell her about what the fuck happened to him. Feeling slighted, she decides to take time away from Spock. Honestly, probably maybe second to last time they see each other because something's got to happen with Cybok. Possibly leading to the events of Amok Time. Thoughts? Did something else need to happen? Yes or no? What do you think about this, Eric?
I hope this is not the last time we see her, but I don't blame her if she doesn't want to see Spock again. Like, let's be honest, he was terrible to her. That being said, I feel like there has to be something before Amok Time. I don't know. I feel like because Chapel and Spock aren't going to last, obviously,
Right.
And there has to be a reason why Spock goes back to her, like for Amok Time. Like he can't. It would be so weird if he was just like what Draft said. I'm gonna die. Let's go fuck. Like,
Booty call, yeah.
But then again, I could see him doing that too. So I hope it's not the last time we see her.
Yeah. Hawk?
It's obviously something's going to happen, and it's not the last time we'll see her in that because she didn't say the engagement's off and that I never ever want to see you again. She said we need a break from each other.
We were on a break.
We were on a break. Yes, this is exactly.
This is literally Friends right now.
It really is. But no, it's like she's like, I need a break, but the engagement's still on there. And so I think we're going to see her again. And I believe Spock is going to either, maybe try and smooth things over, or he's going to do something that's even dumber than that. But like the fact that the engagement lasted like another, 7 yees in the timeline?
7 or 8, right?
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why didn't she just dump him?
Yeah.
Well, we know why she's not dumping him. Like they explain in that episode that there's a lot of repercussion for T'Pring. Like a lot more than for Spock. Like very obviously, she is gambling a lot on that marriage. Like her father wants it, but she's clearly in love with Spock. She really do love him, and she wants that marriage. Like it's not a forced arranged marriage, but it's explained that she would be cast away, she would be shunned, she would be regarded as a woman with no logic, and so on and so on. And when you know all this, and Spock knows all that because of Spock Amok, you're like, dude, what you're doing is bullshit. And more power to T'Pring to be like, fuck you, I'm out. Very good for her, to be honest. And we know she's going to face a lot of repercussion because now they're engaged, right? Because it went well. We know they get married. because in Amok Time, Spock's, Mr. Spock, who is she? She's beautiful. She is my wife. That's why Uhura cannot see T'Pring, because she doesn't recognize her in TOS, you remember? So they do get married. Like, I mean, isn't that like something like a weird looking thing? But they do get married.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. Shit.
So, and other, like, if you watch Amok Time, because I rewatch Amok Time, because like, why the fuck? Why not? You know, when you watch Amok Time, when Spock is in his quarter and is starting to have his ponfar, who comes to get in his room to bring him food?
Chapel.
And when she get out, because he kicks her out, then Bones says like, still? After all this time? And so something clearly fucking happens that Spock goes and marries T'Pring, and then when he goes into his ponfar and Chapel shows up, he's like, fuck you, you get out, and you get out with your damn soup, and then contacts T'Pring. So I wonder if there's not going to be like a Richard Kirby situation or something like bad. I mean, we know that that's not gonna stand, and that most probably what I think is that Chapel is gonna break his heart so bad, or he's gonna be so T'Pring is gonna eat so much shit that even he cannot like back off, and he's gonna marry her. But we know that much. That's what we know from Amok Time. They're married, and when Chapel shows up, is like absolutely not.
Yeah.
So
I said everything I wanted to say at the top of the episode about T'Pring and Spock. Like, T'Pring ends up in that end of this episode completely in the right. Spock's a douche, but we already knew that. It's just very Spock. He's an idiot.
You know why he's a douche? Because he doesn't have Uhura in his life. Look in the Kelvin verse. He's less of a douche.
There you go.
Telling you.
So we see Chapel doesn't get into the Fellowship, which is BS, by the way, but does get a really awesome final word in against that snooty Vulcan at the Vulcan Science Academy, which is awesome, informing him that she worked with an ancient species to perform an ancient medical practice. She then, after saying fuck you to him, basically, meets Spock at his quarters, who just broke up or is on a break with T'Pring, and Spapple becomes Spapple. Eric.
I love the sequence where she dresses down that Vulcan. It was such a good sequence, and I was like, good on you. Like, damn right, you did do some awesome sciencey things recently. But then the Spock and Chapel, like that scene, I don't like it. I don't ship these two. So seeing it, and Spock just broke up with T'Pring. They just broke up,
Dude.
like it hurt.
Dude, they literally went and watched Friends be like, oh yeah, Ross just broke up and Rachel, and then went and fucked the girl at the club. It's like the same exact thing.
Hey, it takes a special kind of douche.
Yeah.
Well, Ross is a douche.
But
Yes.
it also tells you how much you have in that relationship, because like if you're able to do that, that relationship really didn't mean anything
Exactly.
to you, anything at all. Because like even if you're just friends, like it hurts, or even if like you're mad at the person, like there's an emotional attachment that you need to get rid of, and like to go back in right away is just like. And another thing, he knows Chapels likes him. He knows that, and you don't do that with people who like you, because that's messy. That's messy as fuck.
Spock
like
do,
you
though.
wait.
Spock does.
Huh?
Yeah.
Spock does, though.
Yeah.
Spock does. Yeah.
Be better.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No.
Well, here we go. This is what they were building towards, so now it's here. So, yeah, I haven't seen the next episode yet, but where could this go? And it's no place good.
Well, we know it doesn't go anywhere fucking good, right?
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
And yeah, Spock is a douchebag. Like, he just literally took a break. They said, let's take a break. Not, I don't want to see you again. I don't want you out of my life. I need a
You
break.
just got engaged.
I need a break. And it's like, okay. It's like, that happened. Because he's tired of suppressing that emotion now. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I mean, that's a perfect excuse, babe. I'm tired of suppressing emotion.
I'm tired. I want to smell basil. I want to get my sex on.
I miss
I
my
want to have
bacon.
bacon.
I want my
But
bacon.
that scene, like I love Chapel like standing up to the VSA. I loved it. I was like, yes, give me more. And then you have that scene in the end, and I'm like, no, you were so close. And you know what? More power to her. Go get that piece of ass. Like,
Right,
for real. Like,
right.
But as a woman, I know that dude just had his engagement dinner.
Yeah.
Just had massive trauma. Massive trauma. Yes? Like, they messed with his DNA not once, twice. He had like to go through all that shit. He's already kind of unstable. That's why he's like on therapy. His mom was here. He got engaged. The woman he got engaged to told him like, we need to take time the day of their engagement. And you go in and you make out of him? Again, that takes a special kind of douchebag to do that. I am sorry.
Right.
You can be horny all you want. You need to have fucking morals when you come to dealing with people. Like, people are not things. And sometimes they're in situation where they're not well mentally because they're going through a lot of shit. And you can get in their pants very easily because you're going to be the savior and you're going to be the person that is here. To not do that. This is not right because he's not in a state that he can actually make decision that makes sense for him.
Yeah. I will argue that both of them are not in good mental states, right?
Right. Mhm.
Right. So how many times listen, I went to boarding school, so there's just lots of fucking around and making bad decisions, especially when bad shits happen. So like, I get it. Spock just had this bullshit happen to him. His fiance is done with him for the moment. Chapel just got not in that fellowship, basically, I think, for being human, honestly. So she's in a shitty mental spot. So yeah, they had a pity fuck, and it obviously turns into more. It's not good decision making on either of them, but we know what ends up happening, and here it is. So we will see where it goes. Mental health in Star Trek, never well represented. Final thoughts, if any. Barely talked about Pike, and he was so good in this, even though he didn't.
All the background, like all the cast that did like reaction shots to Spock being crazy, amazing. All of them. They all, yeah. That's it.
No final thoughts. I will never rewatch that episode. That is
Fair.
for sure. Thank God for 206, which is a great episode. So hang in there.
We should just get to it. Oh no, sorry, Hawk, please.
If it had just been me on my own watching this without, anything else, like just outside of any sort of sphere of influence and that, I would have enjoyed it. I was enjoying it. There was a lot about it I enjoyed, but then reading with talking with Giraffe and that about it, and it's like the points just start to click down and down and down and that, and it's like how can you vicariously enjoy something in that, and when it's hurting, when it's like somebody is like looking at it and saying this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and here's why.
Listen, you can enjoy like eating meat even if it kills animals.
It's true.
You can do two things.
Yeah.
I just, and that's why we need more diverse voices in podcasts also, and in the medias and in all that. Because again, if they could have gone thousands of ways, that would not have, and say the same thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, listen to Ethan Peck interview with. I'm
curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he's on 7th Rule right now talking about this episode, so I don't know. Let's rate this one out of 10 burn blisters. Giraffe, you are up first because we always go in reverse order.
I don't know, to be honest. I have no idea. Everything was very good except the main thing of the story. So how do you, I would say a -10. But then the acting was the best one they ever gave us. The costumes were exceptional. But does that counterpoint the fact that it makes my life as a human more complicated every day? I don't think it does. So I'm out.
Fair.
Like,
Fair. No.
but everybody that worked on it was pretty good. So you
Yeah.
did a good job. But you made my life a little bit more racist. So,
Fair.
eh.
Hawk.
Like, I'm going to give it points for production and for direction. Editing's great. It looked good. Acting was great, but costumes. Oh, T'Pring's outfit. Come on.
Hashtag give Bernadette an Emmy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Even the makeup were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, story and that, I'd say a 5. And those points are going for, like, basically just acting, production, direction.
Okay. Chat, give us your ratings too. I only see one right now.
Mm-hmm.
Eric.
You know what?
Oh.
I watched this with my daughter. We had a great time watching it, and we had a discussion about her being biracial by the end of it. Like, I thought that her realizing that she's not just half Filipino or just half Dutch German was a good conversation that came out of this. So I'm gonna give this episode an 8 because it brought out good things for my daughter.
Yeah. Over on the YouTubes, they are coming in. I'm going to read MC's first. Fart noise out of 10 is MC's rating. I love it. Tara,
That's her way of saying she's out.
she's out. Yeah, she's out. Tara, an 8.5. Eric just wants to say Nami's music was also great. It was, as always.
Good.
Michael Kwan gives this a 6. No funny scoring method. It looked like Star Trek agree on exceptional costumes and great acting. It was very majority American take on race and genetics.
Mm-hmm.
A shared fate, 7.5 out of 10. Rude Parakeet, 7 out of 10. Muscle spasms. Eric Summers, 6.5 at best, probably hovering around a 5 right now. For me, again, not to piggyback off what Eric said, I will go off what Hawk said. Like, I enjoyed it for what it is and for being an episode of Trek. And I think this is the right way of saying it. In draft, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I also enjoy it because we had this fucking conversation. Like,
I'm tired of having this fucking conversation. Can we stop?
But like I'm happy for having the conversation with you and watching your video and then talking about it afterwards.
It gave you a perspective that you never had.
It gave me a perspective that I didn't get out of it. So like I appreciate that about it.
I have to say that a lot of podcasts have reached out to me privately to discuss this, to be able to review the episode. So it's great in a way. But let's be honest, we're a fraction of the fandom. Like, go on Twitter and look, and everybody's like, and again, it's a great episode on everything else. I loved every single thing. I love them, and I love T'Pring. I loved everything else except for that thing in the plot, which is so big that it's complicated. Yeah. But it was a beautiful episode. It's really nice. I want them to do more about culture in Spock.
Agreed. Yeah,
in a
just
good way.
Do it better. Yeah. But I'm gonna go with Eric. I'm an 8 on this one. It was very good, and any time, and I am. It's funny that I'm gonna say this because I am gonna literally write an article saying I have had enough of Spock. But anytime that she gets to watch Spock and like enjoy it, that makes me happy because I want her to keep watching more Star Trek.
Kateri wants me to start Strange New Worlds with her. I'm like, fuck yes.
Yeah. I wish she would watch every single episode with me. Like, I try to sit her down and be like, hey, Strange New Worlds is on. Spock's in it. Like, you should watch it. It hasn't worked yet, but we're getting there.
Good parenting.
Trying. Thank you. Let's get to the subspace to pull and mailbag.
Shipwide cadet everywhere.
Aye, sir.
Who wants it to pull this week? Who hasn't taken it?
Eric. Yes. We asked Trek Twitter what they thought of episode 205 Charades, and this is what they had to say. 42% said dazzling display of logic. 28% said most logical. 3% said illogical. And 27% said sad, highly illogical.
Oh, I don't know why it says sad. Said. That's supposed to be said. Okay, that's my bad. Highlighted. That's okay. So,
sad, highly illogical.
Eric put the poll, so that means that Hawk, you are on the first mailbag. Read Haven's, please.
So Haven wrote, "It's no secret how much I love Jess Bush playing Chapel over the last year and a half. To see her in the spotlight feels like it was showcasing her, but also at the same time, I can see it as a tribute to Majel Barrett Roddenberry, as I could see a lot of the original Chapel in her today. But I also thought this might have been her season finale as she got accepted by the VSA for that mission. Glad to see she will still be around. Rating 7.75. Also, this episode gives massive conversion therapy issues, which should never be a topic in 1966 or 2023 or any time in between.
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
That's
people are
interesting.
gonna read a lot of issues depending on their walk of life, and believe me, there's no really good way to see that main plot.
Fair. Giraffe, can you take Eric the Reds, please?
Eric the Red, Joel and True, wrote, "Why is the 5th episode of Strange New World always the Spock shenanigans episode?" I love the B plot of Chapel trying to find the solution, showing Jess Bush's range, as well as discovering contacting a new species. Sorry, even though we didn't learn much about them. True. The A plot with Spock was meh. Feels like they were trying to go for Spock a Mark 2.0, but I didn't feel like it landed quite well. Probably would give this one a 6.5 at best.
Alrighty, and EC the Chief wrote, "I'll have to speak for the minority. I loved this episode. The feels were nice, but I wanted more comedy. I like Ethan Spock exploring his emotional human side. Sets the stage for Nimoy's more Vulcan Spock. Vulcans are jerks. Change my mind." I mean, you're not wrong about Vulcans being jerks. Like
They're
they're
jerks,
totally
yeah.
jerks. Yeah. Can you read Riker Tattoos, please? Where are we?
Me.
Eric.
Riker's Tattoo wrote, Spock's mom is gorgeous. His friend's fight for him was great. Silly, fun, and sweet.
Sweet and simple. Sweet and simple. Love it. Hawk with Ensign Rose, please.
Ensign Rowe Aaron wrote, "I really disliked this week's episode because the writing felt sophomorish. I felt like I had turned on any sitcom from the early 2000s. They're not wrong. Spock's plot made me cringe so hard I finished the episode on mute, and I disliked April essentially being the evil WOCMIL.
The woman of color mother-in-law.
Oh, okay. Which is a really uncomfortable trope to be using in 2023. The humor feels like an episode of The Big Bang Theory, and Spock is the joke.
Draft, can you take Professor Time Travelers, please?
I'm getting only the Romulans today.
You're getting the Romulans today.
Yeah, Prof Time Traveler wrote, "Mailbag, my first ever." Yay. When I first saw Chapel and Spock kiss in the previews, I thought it might be a Ponfar retcon, and to be honest, now I kind of wish it was. Spock, not wanting to go through Ponfar, would naturally go to M'Benga for some sort of medical solution, only for the side effect of said solution to cause the unpredictable behavior we see throughout the episode. I like that episode a lot. We should do that. It would get them away from the more offensive Vulcan DNA stuff and allow for the Spock Chapel stuff to feel less like sorry, I'm gonna do that again. And allow for the Spock Chapel stuff to feel less like conscious infidelity.
Indeed. Yum Yum Pod wrote, "I found this episode to be pretty lame and I wasn't a fan of it overall. I'm just so tired of Spock stories at this point. It's been over 50 years of seeing the character, damn right, be explored, and I get very little out of it now. Hence, I enjoyed the stuff happening with the other characters in the episode. Something about the writing in this one went into turbo cringe dialogue mode that made me want to stop at several points, but Sam Kirk has finally returned, and that almost redeems the episode's tired sitcom humor." Hooray for more Sam Kirk. Indeed.
You're being meaner than I am.
Yeah, Yum Yum Pod trademark, TM. Eric, you take Fef's, please.
Fef wrote, I'm getting tired of seeing Chapel as a vehicle to Spock. Give her some Chapel stories, please. I liked seeing Ethan Peck's range as human, but this one is more of a miss than a hit for me.
Indeed. Hawks with Collins, please.
So Colin D wrote, "I'm just going with what I liked. The acting. Ethan and Jess were superb. A masterclass in subtlety. Anson is so good as the comic foil. Seeing Amanda, yay, but boo to no Pelly."
Yeah, we didn't talk about this.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. It was such a fucking mistake.
It was so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The comedy of Spock's friends teaching him how to be his old self problematic, but they were very funny in their antics, at least. There is enough discussion about the problem, so I don't want to add anything. I probably will in spoiler talk. I enjoyed parts of this. 7 out of 10.
Very nice. Giraffe with Jay Woodman's, please.
Jay Woodman wrote, "This episode was problematic because there was a major plot issue. An advanced species that thought it was acceptable to edit out half of Spock's DNA and didn't see a problem with the results. Then they had a childish response about a complaint window when confronted with their egregious mistake. It was hard to swallow, left me disappointed, and not a good message from Star Trek in 2023.
Indeed. And I will take it home with Tara's mailbag tonight.
You get the limerick.
I get the limerick. Charades. A shuttle crash leads to an altered Spock. He's now 100% human. Emotions no longer blocked. The new version super into bacon, but T'Pring feels a bit forsaken. Then Mom teaches that acceptance can be one's hardest stumbling block. There were so many things wrong with this episode, but I still truly enjoyed watching it because Ethan Peck looked like he was having a fantastic time. Jess Bush is very lovable, and the romantic in me loves the Chapel Spock ship. Well said, Tara. Well said. And well done, everyone, for this podcast. Even though we don't always agree all the time, that's one of the best parts about this episode. We can have amazing conversations like this. I love you all for that. With that, I will say we're doing a late night happy hour.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
We're doing happy hour directly following this podcast. So for patrons at the Cerritos Lounge level and above, it's a nightcap. It's a late night nightcap. Let's do it.
We knew it was going to be a long one.
We did. Dude, we've turned into the long form, though. We have become a long form podcast.
We've become the Duras sister.
Duras sisters inspired us. What could we say? They know this. But yeah, just awesome seeing you guys again and doing the pod. And also just a reminder, Heroes and Villains, our new partner, 20% off your first order with the code STRANGE at heroesandvillains.com. That is in the US only. Remember, we are not live next week. We will have a 9:30 p.m. Eastern premiere time. Send in your mailbags, though, and all that. And find Giraffe and MC at Comic-Con.
Yeah, and keep an eye on the Patron. We're going to advertise the meeting Jonathan
That's
Frakes
right.
Very soon.
Right, very soon. So, for Hawk, for Eric, for Giraffe, I am Julian, and I will say, live long and prosper, Majram. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.